Isn't it true that some people who are recently released from prison, they suffer from mental illnesses like PTSD the same way that people who return from war suffer from PTSD and other similar issues?
I'm not a psychologist, but it's one thing I can verify and clarify on that. Being in prison, even myself, you can be traumatized by a lot of things that you see in prison. Someone getting stabbed, someone getting shot. Most of all, just being confined into a cell, like doing a lockdown when you cannot come out your cell, not even for a shower for the first 72 hours. And then when you can come out for a cell, you're being escorted, and sometimes you feel that you don't need to be up under that kind of security because you feel you're not that type of person. And when you feel you ain't that type of person, and you feel the next person that you feel that should have that type of security around them, they make you feel like you just the same, and that can put a lot of stress on you, because if they feel if you know that you feel that that person is a very, very dangerous individual, and you getting the same treatment as him, what happens if it comes down to where they probably thinking they have to handle you in a situation where they got you in the mindset of what they feel that dangerous, the person is more dangerous than you are.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're in prison, you can literally be fearing for your life most days, right?
That's 24/7. Ain't no getting around it. That's where the stress come in at, and then what happens? Let's just say this individual individuals, whether men or women, are now getting out. They getting out with a lot of stress, a lot of weight on their shoulders, to where they're not thinking straight. And some use drugs with PTSD or some kind of mental
to deal with that mental
to deal
pain.
with that makes it worse.
And that's the same exact thing. If you're overseas at a war, you're in combat. That's the exact same type of stress that you're dealing with. You're fighting daily for your survival. You're watching people around you not survive, right?
Right.
And then, yeah, that has an effect on you.
Big effect. Big effect.
What's crazy, though, is that's not really addressed, right? When we talk about helping inmates, we don't really talk about helping them with mental illness when they get out of prison.
No. And that's a problem.
That's crazy. Now, let me ask you this question. What do you think, like, okay, a person just get out of prison. Obviously, they need support from their family. Obviously, the family ain't going to always be there. What would help a person? I mean, obviously, you can put them on meds. That's not the best thing to do.
No.
What would really help a person to deal with the mental trauma and the emotional trauma that they had to deal with in prison? How do we help them when they get out of prison?
Whether that person is presuming to feel that he don't need any kind of help. I think that every individual that gets out of jail or prison should be immediately taken into protocol on his mental status of his mind.
To be given some kind of diagnosis or analysis.
Immediately. They say, wait a minute. Or you take one individual. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman. I don't need no help. I'm happy to be out of jail.
Yeah.
But we don't know what. I'm not saying that that person supposed to still be imprisoned as if he's still being watched or she's still being watched. I'm saying that person should have some. See, most people that get out of prison, not most people, but if you line up 10 people that's getting out of jail out of prison at one time.
Mm-hmm.
2, and I did say 2, is going to have family members to pick that person up.
Mm-hmm.
That other 8,
they got to figure it out.
They getting on a bus to go back home.
They got to figure it out.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it has to be a program established before that person get out to say, look, you have a place to go stay immediately in your first 24 hours out of jail.
Yeah, because you can easily be suffering from PTSD and not realize it.
Exactly. That's what
it's almost like if a person who's in a car accident, right? And then the ambulance and the fire truck shows up and they're like, all right, we think you should go to the hospital. And you're like, no, I'm good, I'm fine. You go home. The next day you wake up with injuries.
Body and rigor mortis.
Right.
And pain and yeah, same thing.
Right.
They think they fine, but they really not.
Okay. So they at least need to be some kind of program to at least give them that initial
jump start to
Right.
to that feeling that they are wanted.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because I know that mental health is an issue inside prison and outside of prison. Now, mental health inside prison, do people even admit to it when they feel depressed? Or are they still, because I mean, even outside, in the outside world, there are people who are afraid or intimidated about mentioning words like depression or anxiety.
Well, that, you know what? That's a big secret. Because you know why? There are certain groups, communities in prison that cannot, they are forbidden, it's against their rules to go get mental health.
Even though they can, in prison. So you can see a therapist or counselor in prison.
Right, but when I say community, I mean gangs or
Right.
It's certain
Because it
groups
makes you look like a punk if you do it.
exactly. And then if you are to be told that you're going to be put on medication, which most of the guys who go to the psychologist are put on medication.
Do you know what kind of medication they're putting people on? Is it
Zoloft.
So antidepressants?
Antidepressant
Okay.
pills, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, there's a lot of guys that go through a lot of depression that don't want to go see a psych. And believe you not, it don't make a difference what's your status of who you are in a prison yard. You going to have setbacks of some type of mental breakdown.
I can imagine.
Mandatory.
I can imagine. Because you're still human at the end of the day.
You're human. You're human.
You know? So prison reform then, which is good to see that prison reform is being talked about on a national level now, but really it's more than just about getting people out of prison. It's about helping them as well.
It's staying out.
Yeah, to stay out, helping them mentally survive when they're out, helping them get back on their feet, helping them get a job. But yeah, if that mental ain't right, then none of that stuff is happening.
If that mental ain't right, it don't mean squat. Period.